We all make these little mental mistakes every single day. And honestly, we often don't even realize we're doing it. So today we're going to pull back the curtain on some of the most common ones and figure out how to catch ourselves in the act.
So, let me ask you something right off the bat. Are you really, truly in control of your thoughts? It's a pretty bold question, I know, but the answer really gets to the heart of how our minds are wired.
To get why we make these mistakes, we've got to look at our brain's brilliant, but, well, sometimes flawed design. Your mind absolutely loves the fast lane. It's always searching for the quickest way to get from point A to point B.
When you boil it all down, your brain is a shortcut machine. Think about it. Every single second, it's just flooded with information. So to keep from getting totally overwhelmed and to save energy, it creates these mental shortcuts to make thousands of decisions every day.
Now, there's a technical term for these shortcuts, heuristics. They're kind of like mental rules of thumb that help us make sense of the world really, really quickly. And hey, most of the time, they work great. But, and this is a big but, they're not perfect.
And this really lays out the trade-off, right? On one hand, you have accurate, careful thinking, but it's slow and takes a ton of effort. On the other hand, you have heuristic thinking, which is super fast and pretty much automatic. It's way more efficient, but that speed, well, it comes at a cost. It's much more likely to lead to mistakes.
So what does happen when these clever little shortcuts misfire? Well, they create these predictable patterns of error, what we call cognitive biases and logical fallacies.
All right, let's dive into our first big one, the straw man. If you've ever been in a debate, especially online, you've definitely seen this in action. It's basically the art of arguing against a phantom, a ghost version of your opponent.
It's like this. You take what someone actually said and you twist it, or you blow it up into something weaker and way easier to knock down, like a scarecrow, a man made of straw, and then you attack that distorted version instead of their real argument. Yeah, this is a perfect example. The actual argument is totally reasonable, right? Let's invest in public transit. But the strawman version just twists it into this ridiculous extreme position. Ban all cars! That's super easy to argue against, even though nobody ever said that in the first place.
Okay, moving on to mistake number 2. And this one's a biggie, confirmation bias. It's one of the sneakiest mental shortcuts out there because it really feels like you're being logical, but what you're really doing is just reinforcing what you already think.
The key thing to get here is our natural tendency to just grab onto information that supports what we already believe. And this bias affects everything: what we Google, how we interpret news stories, and even which memories we choose to hang on to.
And the process is almost deceptively simple. First, you form a belief about something. Then, your brain's internal search engine goes to work finding all the proof that you're right, while at the same time, it just ignores or explains away anything that might suggest you're wrong. And what's the result of all this? You end up stuck inside an echo chamber, but it's one you built inside your own head. All your own ideas just get reflected back at you, getting louder and making you feel more and more certain, while any opposing views get completely locked out.
So yeah, these biases are powerful, but here's the good news. They are not unstoppable. Now we get to the fun part, building our own thinker's toolkit to spot and stop these errors before they can really take root.
This little 3-step guide is super practical, something you can start using right away. First, just pause. Instead of having a knee-jerk reaction, actually listen. Second, figure out the core claim. What is the person really saying? And third, ask yourself 2 simple questions. Is my take on this fair? And am I really seeing the whole picture here?
I love this quote from the physicist Richard Feynman. He put it perfectly. The first principle is that you must not fool yourself, and you are the easiest person to fool. This just gets right to the heart of it all. The real trick isn't spotting these errors in other people, it's spotting them in ourselves.
Look, at the end of the day, you don't have to be perfect. Just knowing that biases like the straw man and confirmation bias even exist is a huge part of the battle. Seriously, that awareness is the most important first step you can take toward thinking more clearly.
So, I'll leave you with this question. Now that you have these new tools in your toolkit, where do you think you'll spot your first error? Will it be in the news, maybe in a conversation with a friend, or maybe, just maybe, in your own thinking?